Holy f***ing shit. What's up, guys? Tobin here with you. Look, this is going to be a brief one. I want to just I know people are going to come to the channel, and we'll do something more comprehensive tonight on the Terry Rozier thing, but I got the radio show that's going to be starting at 10 a.m. We're live up until 2 today to talk about this story. So if you guys aren't aware, there's going to be a press conference at 10 a.m. today. Terry Rozier was arrested last night by the FBI while the team was in Orlando. They were staying overnight after their opening night loss. Terry Rozier did not play in that loss. But in connection with this federal gambling investigation, which I assume we're going to get all the details from the director, Kash Patel, coming up at 10 a.m. But yeah, the big thing that we were waiting on for the big details on this story as far as like, hey, what was going to be the conclusion of this? Well, I would assume this means Terry Rozier's time, at least with the Heat, is done. What this means for salary and all that type of stuff, that's going to depend on whether or not the NBA rules him ineligible, what the fallout's going to be, how fast the fallout's going to be from that. But mind you, there is a weird thing here. Terry Rozier is arrested. He's in the middle of an investigation. That means you got to go through. You're innocent until proven guilty on that stuff. But obviously, when it is the feds coming after you, it's never a good thing. He is now, along with this, in a gambling probe that also involves Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, who apparently was allegedly involved in illegal poker games that were tied to the mafia. Damon Jones, former Miami Heat guard, was an assistant coach, and they're putting out there that he was in this poker thing as well, but also maybe leaking information for gamblers and whatnot. So there's a lot of stuff in the fallout from this. So there's a lot of new information that's going to come our way with this whole thing. But let's just stick on the Terry Rozier thing for right now, because for those who haven't been following it, just to give everybody the call up on it, Terry Rozier was initially caught up in an issue while he was on the Charlotte Hornets. There was a lot of suspicious gambling activity on a game in the spring back in his final full season with Charlotte, where a lot of money came in on his unders. This was actually immediately flagged. There's a great report on ESPN. They reported that a lot of this stuff got flagged. I think it was Mississippi. That was the state that this was all going on in. And they didn't even want to pay out the bets that were put in on this that all cashed. And it was like dozens of bets on these Terry Rozier unders that was immediately flagged to be suspicious. But the NBA ended up investigating. He had this injury. He ended up not playing the rest of the year. And so Terry Rozier was cleared in all of this. That's not new information. That has been the case ever since last January, when it was first announced that he was part of a federal investigation into all this stuff. That, of course, later on Malik Beasley was also tied into, where Malik Beasley there was manipulation on his games that investigators were concerned about. And there's been a lot of confusion on this story in the aftermath. A lot of it has had to do with ESPN's Shams Charania, who came out on the Pat McAfee show, and he said that Terry Rozier was cleared of all of this in the investigation. He made it sound like Terry Rozier was completely cleared. Then ESPN had another report, a separate gambling reporter that they had. They said that, well, they were still waiting on to be cleared. Terry Rozier's lawyers were hoping that he was going to be cleared. And in fact, even as far as Sunday, when Terry Rozier came back from injury, Ira Winderman in his report today said that Terry Rozier was being asked about this, he said, this is from Ira. The uncertainty over Rozier's status reached a point that Rozier appeared confused when told during an interview on Sunday that he had been cleared to return from his preseason hamstring injury, with Rozier initially believing the word cleared was being used in regard to the FBI investigation. So we really had not gotten any, he didn't even have clarity on this and did not know where this is going to go. We still don't quite know where this is going to go, and I know a lot of Heat fans have questions because immediately we go to what does this mean salary cap-wise? What does this mean for traded. I don't know. I know that if the end, from the reports out there and the salary cap gurus that are out there, I recommend go following Brian Goins on Twitter. He's got a lot of good information on this, the full breakdown. I know that there's like exceptions that he can take in, that there are certain players. We'll get to all that. I mean, there'll be breakdowns of all of that, of what that means. Don't expect like the Heat to be. I will say this: don't expect the Miami Heat to be able to go get like a $26 million player and just absorb him in. I believe in the initial aftermath, if there's no exceptions, they could at least bring in to fill in 2 of their roster spots if there is relief. But again, I don't know how fast the NBA is going to act on this. It's kind of a revolving, pushing goalpost on it. The season did just start, so you would think it'd be somebody with it would be a pretty healthy number, but we don't know how long that's going to take. Adam Silver's obviously going to be on his heels on this stuff. And then in the last part, with this Rozier piece, and again, we're going to cover all of this on the radio show, so I always link that in the description. 104.3 WQAM will be on live until 2 p.m., so I recommend you guys checking out there. We will, if not carry the press conference, we'll get clips from the press conference, and we'll see what the investigators have to say about this. But this is obviously a monster scandal. The NBA, not a stranger to gambling stories. We all remember the Tim Donaghy scandal from years back. Now they're in the midst of this, where they have not only they had the Jonte Porter thing. He was a bit player who was a relative of a Max player, who they banned for life, and seemed like, oh, that was going to be the end of it. It was just a renegade player at one point, a rogue story. Well, now you have a guy who made a big time. And like, look, dude, I'd be lying to you if it's not like this doesn't just. I can't imagine being Eric Spoelstra right now. You're all thinking we're going to go into a normal year. There's not going to be any craziness. And not one game in is one of your players getting arrested after the game for something that you were like, you probably put it behind you because everybody was probably like, the damage is done on the Terry thing. Terry was giving quotes to Ira and this week where it was like, I just am hoping for a fresh start. Yeah, I mean, I look, ever again, it's alleged and innocent until proven guilty. I don't know how anybody comes back from this. And we'll get more details on it. But the Heat, I mean, man, what a couple of years it's been with the Jimmy thing, the Terry thing hanging over, and now this aftermath of the Terry thing. Even that has to be just crazy as a team to wrap your mind around. Imagine, Terry is a guy who's good with his teammates. He's friends with a lot of guys on those teams. He's close with these guys, and he's getting taken away in handcuffs, and you got to go play a game on Friday. That's a up situation. It is. And this Heat team just can't seem to get anything of a runway of normalcy with all of this. I know people are sitting here cheering about it, and I get it. Terry was awful as a player, but, it is still a human. Got a young kid. This is a terrible situation, and I get it. We're all going on to the next basketball thing. I honestly, from my own selfish regards, I'm not even like looking at the salary thing because it's like, well, the damage is kind of done. I don't know what they're going to get out of that. Like, we had already kind of reached the end game, but I'm honestly concerned. Like, I wonder what the Heat do with this as far as like Hornets intel, because the Hornets have to be howling at this point. Like the worst trade in Heat history just got even worse, and now is almost comical. And these guys are going to be sitting there in 2028 with the Miami Heat's first round pick, with knowledge that he was involved with something that got investigated, that got cleared, but they were able to still trade him and fleece the Heat. And that to me is the bigger issue in all of this. But I think the damage is kind of done there. I don't see anybody saying, the Heat are going to get their pick back or anything like that. But we'll see. Again, a lot more coverage of this coming on. There's a lot of things fuming in. I got some thoughts on Shams Charania with the stuff that he's been spitting this summer that I want to get into. We'll do a full thing later on the channel, probably when we have a lot more details. But we will be doing live coverage of this on the QAM YouTube channel starting at 10 a.m.